welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, picture this. You are right in the middle of your workday, relying on the most advanced tool ever created, and then, boom, the lights go out. Today, we're unpacking an absolutely unprecedented event that literally rewired the global landscape of artificial intelligence overnight. We are looking at the exact moment the frontier of human knowledge was, for all intents and purposes, switched off for the entire world.
Mark this date down, 5:21 p.m. Eastern Time, June 12, 2026. At this exact minute, a staggering directive from the US government triggered the very first global recall of a commercial AI model. It was an instant blackout. I mean, imagine you're a developer coding in London, or a researcher in the UAE, or even a non-US citizen working right there in Silicon Valley. And suddenly, the most powerful engine in your workflow just vanishes into thin air. No warning, just gone.
So the massive question we are tackling today is this: how in the world did a single domestic export order from the US cause a total worldwide blackout of Anthropic's most advanced AI systems? We're going to dive deep into the mystery of how this happened, the intense geopolitical clash bubbling right beneath the surface, and what this actually means for the future of global technology.
Let's start with Section 1, the targets, Fable 5, and Mythos 5. To really wrap our heads around the sheer magnitude of this shutdown, we first need to look at exactly what it was that got turned off.
You see, just days before the blackout, Anthropic had launched their highly anticipated Mythos-class models. And these were a big deal. According to their official system card, these models represented a massive, completely game-changing leap in autonomous capabilities and complex reasoning. They blew their previous flagship, Opus 4.8, totally out of the water. We are talking absolute state-of-the-art performance in software engineering, complex scientific research, and long context tasks.
Now, Anthropic actually offered two distinct flavors of this powerful engine. On one hand, you had Claude Fable 5. This one was designed for the general public, but it came with very strict safety classifiers. Basically, it was hardwired to block any kind of misuse in super high-risk areas like cybersecurity and biology. But on the other hand, you had Claude Mythos 5. This was the exact same underlying brain, but completely unrestricted. All the guardrails were off. Because of that, Mythos 5 was kept under lock and key, available only to vetted national security partners and cyber defenders through a program called Project Glasswing.
And here's where things get kind of crazy. Anthropic's own rigorous internal testing, their behavioral audits, showed that these models were highly aligned and very safe. Actually, scratch that. They weren't just safe, their misaligned behavior scores were even lower than competing models on the market, and their factual recall was off the charts. They were incredibly confident this was ready and safe for the public, which honestly makes the government's sudden intervention feel even more dramatic.
Moving on to Section 2, the trigger, a narrow jailbreak. So what actually caused the Department of Commerce to swoop in and pull the plug in the name of national security?
While the government claimed they found what the AI industry calls a jailbreak, if you're not super familiar with the term, jailbreaking is basically a technique where you trick an AI model into bypassing its own programmed safeguards. The government asserted they had discovered a method that could completely bypass Fable 5 safety classifiers, essentially forcing it to expose code vulnerabilities. In theory, this could really help bad actors launch cyber attacks against critical infrastructure.
But Anthropic wasn't just going to take that lying down. They strongly pushed back. They put out statements arguing, quite impartially, that this discovered vulnerability was practically a nothing burger. They called it a narrow potential jailbreak that basically just tricked the model into reading a specific codebase. Plus, they pointed out that these were already known vulnerabilities. Competitors' models could find them without needing any jailbreak whatsoever. So to Anthropic, recalling a product used by hundreds of millions of people over this was just a massive, completely unjustified overreaction.
Which brings us to Section 3, the prequel, Anthropic versus the Pentagon. Because to truly grasp what happened with this directive, we need to pull back the curtain on a pretty bitter, months-long feud.
You see, this blackout didn't just happen out of nowhere. Back in January of 2026, the Department of Defense was really pushing Anthropic to allow its AI to be used for all lawful purposes, but Anthropic stuck firmly to its safety principles. They flat out refused to let the Pentagon use their AI for mass surveillance or for lethal autonomous weapons without human oversight. Well, the DoD did not like that. They threatened to cancel a massive $200 million contract, and then in March, the DoD took the extreme step of officially designating Anthropic a supply chain risk. That is a label usually reserved for foreign adversaries. Anthropic sued, and a federal judge actually granted an injunction calling it illegal retaliation.
But even with the judge stepping in, the damage from that supply chain risk label was already done. The fallout was absolutely brutal.
The General Services Administration killed Anthropic's OneGov contract, blocking federal use of their services. The administration ordered all federal agencies to phase Claude out completely. And the panic bled into the private sector too. A major venture firm, 1789 Capital, walked away from a planned investment worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So the tension between this AI lab and the US government was already at an absolute boiling point long before Fable 5 even saw the light of day.
Okay, let's get into Section 4, the mechanism, how a US order broke the world. This brings us back to that fateful day, June 12th, and exactly how the government forced a global blackout.
You might be wondering, how does a domestic US order shut down AI for a user in Paris or Tokyo? Well, it was a three-step domino effect. First, the Commerce Department's Export Control Directive explicitly banned access to the models for any foreign national. And here's the kicker. That included foreign nationals living inside the US, even Anthropic's own non-citizen employees. Second, Anthropic is a consumer software company. They don't have some real-time know your customer's system to instantly verify the passport of every single user logging in. It's just not how it works. So step 3, faced with an impossible technical hurdle and massive legal liability, Anthropic's only option was to pull the plug entirely, for everyone, everywhere.
And we really have to put the scale of this loss into perspective. Fable 5 was not some niche experimental toy. Looking at the pricing, at just $10 per million input tokens, it was incredibly aggressive. It was heavily optimized for massive global enterprise adoption, and businesses worldwide had already integrated it into their daily workflows. Losing access to it unannounced wasn't just a technical glitch, it was an absolute commercial earthquake across the globe.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, the fallout, the era of AI sovereignty. The collateral damage from this geopolitical standoff is still sending shockwaves through the tech industry.
Businesses, developers, and foreign governments are waking up to a really harsh reality right now. This blackout fully exposed the extreme fragility of relying on centralized, US-controlled AI models. Everyone is suddenly realizing that any mission-critical system built on a US-based API can be legally severed in an instant, zero warning, just because of a domestic export control order.
And this is fundamentally changing how the world views artificial intelligence. Analysts are already calling this the mythos moment. They're saying future historians are going to look back at 2026 as the exact point where the commercial AI boom completely collided with 21st century geopolitics. The era of unrestricted global access to the bleeding edge of machine intelligence, it's likely over. We are entering an era of AI sovereignty. Nations and massive corporations are going to demand local, air-gapped models just to protect their own infrastructure from foreign regulatory whims.
As AI rapidly evolves to become the literal foundation of our modern world, this explainer leaves us with a massive, profound question to chew on. As these systems become indistinguishable from the absolute frontier of human knowledge and creativity, should any single government have the power to instantly ban access to them for the rest of the world? It's a heavy thought. Think about that, and we'll catch you in the